So I'm out here on a property that we loaned on over a year ago, right? It was like in 2022 when the loan application came in. And the application came in from some very reputable fix and flippers, investors here in the New Orleans market. And I'm out here because I want to show y'all some stuff. If you're thinking about becoming a lender or you're thinking about investing your capital with a company like Vertical Capital, before you do that, I want to show you the ugly side of lending. This is a property that we had to take back. And what I mean by that is we could have foreclosed on the property. The borrowers they defaulted on the property, of course. But before they defaulted on this property, they actually defaulted on this lot, right? One thing you need to be aware of is when you go too long and you don't hear back from your borrowers, whether they're requesting draws or just in plain communication. My partner and I, we like to be in communication with a lot of our borrowers. We may contact them every few weeks, every month, just to make sure that everything is going good, right? So some red flags are basically when they stop communicating with you, that's how you know that something is up, right? But I don't want to talk about the lot because this is a simple fix. The house is the complicated one, right? We had options. We could have foreclosed on them on both properties. In fact, our lawyer, our attorney, was encouraging us to foreclose on it. Elridge and I value relationships. So instead of foreclosing on it, we decided to offer them a deed in lieu. That's where they sign over the property back to us, and everything in the rears, all the damages are forgiven. We assume all of the cost, and we assume any violations. In this case, there are several violations on this house: code enforcement violations, historic district violations on this particular property. Some things that you kind of got to be aware of too. Although this is not a new construction, the complexity of the project was basically very, it was in super bad condition. Number one thing you shouldn't do as a borrower is be silent, because when you be silent, you piss a lot of people off. And in this instance, these guys became silent. They didn't answer any of our emails. They didn't answer any of our calls. Well, they didn't even answer the calls or the emails to our attorney, which pissed him off. And he was advising us to foreclose on the property, do a writ of seizure, right? While we cast a judgment on their personal bank accounts. We could have done that. We could have seized their personal bank accounts. We could have seized any property that they also have and that they own, both in their personal names and or in their business names. But because Vertical Capital, myself, Anitra, and my partner Elridge, we value relationships. No matter, even if the person does damages to us, we're still gonna do the right thing that we feel is good for our business, right? Let me take you, well, first of all, let me take you on the outside here. So this is how they pissed code enforcement off, right? They had architectural plans that they didn't follow. Right about here, so we're in the historic district in New Orleans. This is the Treme neighborhood. Right about here, now this was before any of us was born. They didn't have any codes, right? A lot of cities didn't have any code. There was no code enforcement department. Right about here where you see this wooden post, this is the original house. Now this was prior to these guys actually buying this house, right? So this is way prior to that. This house, after this point, this was the addition that, again, this has nothing to do with them. This is an addition that was added to the house years and years ago prior to us, any of us being alive. And then now we have governments come in and now we have code. This property was pushed back right here, at least 4 to 5 feet inward, right? Now what we got is they brought the property back all the way where this original was, which is a violation of code, right? Not only did they do that, they demoed more than the percent of the permit allowed to demo. That's key. When you get a permit, you have a certain percentage that you're allowed to demo. And so now that triggers HDLC, and now you got a lot of pissed off people, right? So now code enforcement comes out and they start tagging, violating stuff. You got high grass, which is really not that high. At the time, there was no roofing on this particular property. There was no siding on this particular property. So when you piss people off in the city, of course, they come out and they send all of their enforcements. Code enforcement has $25,000 worth of liens on this particular property. And now we have to attend HDLC. Like I told you before, when you do the bond for deed, you assuming everything that comes with it. Had we chosen the foreclosure route, then all of those liens, all of the violations actually disappear during the foreclosure process. But not only did we suffer damages on the code side, we actually suffered damages on the actual construction side. Because they did what we called a job abandonment, they abandoned the job, we had additional damages, right? So prior to all this siding being prior to the siding being put on the property, we had an exposed house, right? So we had an exposed house where there was no tie vac or AKA house wrap. We just had the exposure of the OSB or the actual wood that we want to say, the wood that attaches itself to that. So that was exposed. 14 of those boards were damaged due to weather. We also had some raining inside. Remember, you can see there was no windows. That tie vac wasn't there prior to. We also had additional damage on the inside. We can see here where there is water stains right here on the floor. If you can catch that, cameraman, you can see where there's water stains right here. There's also some water stains on the actual sheeting because the house was exposed, right? But anyway, that's the ugly side. So we had increased cost to this particular property, right? You also have to make a determination if you're going to actually take the property back, know when to take a property back, or know when to foreclose, right? For us, I can honestly say, because of our experience with flipping houses, new construction, we're not afraid to take the property back. However, we don't want to take the property back. We really don't. We want to be able to work with our borrowers through the hard times and through the good times as well. So some of the solutions. So now we have our capital partners that have been hanging in this deal since 2022, right? It's 2024. We're going to be going on 2 years before we get able to get our capital partners back. How is it that we're able to do that? We build trust with them. They trust that, one, if something goes wrong, that we'll be able to navigate through the city. I'm not concerned about the $25,000 in code enforcement liens. Why? Because I've gone through that experience before. It's called the lien reduction process. I've gone through that before, and I know how to get that down all the way to zero. I actually done it 6 months ago on another property. I'm not concerned about HDLC. Like I said, as we have our hearing coming up on April 1st, I'm positive that that's gonna go well. We couldn't. Demoing this is not an option. There's other things besides just taking down that wall and recessing it back into its original floor plan. So again, having we have consultants on our team. We have a good construction management on a good contractor on our team. And again, it's the wherewithal and knowing about it. So we're all in this deal right now at $294,000. We have some increased cost on top of that. I think that has gone up another, we've only probably spent another $6,000 on that. So our additional cost is actually $6,000 over our original budget, which this house in 2022, when we first did our numbers, it was valued at $480,000 once it's completed. So you can see there's a lot of wiggle room here. However, I'm going to be real honest with you. The numbers have changed, and the number has changed because, one, we have high cost of insurance here in Louisiana, and of course, like everyone else, is affected by the recent interest rate hikes or whatever. Our guesstimation is we lost about $60 in value per square foot. Right now, we're going to be real conservative at about 415. I don't feel a reason why we should be able to go lower. Again, this is in prime location in the New Orleans market. And when you have the contractor on your team, that helps soften the blow because this guy's now doing it at cost. And how we're able to do it at cost is now what we do is what I've been telling everybody. When you are in a position and you have to be squeezed and the numbers are not working out, we offered him an equity position on the profits. So it's a great incentive for him to do the job for us at cost, keep us in the numbers. And so we'll be able to capitalize on this. We're probably going to be able to get our capital partners more than what we originally promised to them. So when you get into this game, you have to understand and you have to know the solutions. Foreclosure may not always be the best route. For the condition of where this property was at, going to foreclosure, my partner and I decided that wasn't gonna fly because of where we were at. There was so much damage as far as the liens and all this other kind of stuff. And there was just so much additional damage to the actual property that we felt like that current value at that particular time going to the foreclosure market, we were not gonna get our money back. We were gonna fall short. And sometimes as a lender, that may be the option is to fall short. But because of this property's location and where we are in the economic environment right now, things are getting better with the interest rates. We felt that it was better for us to just go ahead and finish the project. Like I said, offer those borrowers a deed in lieu, not go through the judgment process of leaning all of their properties and taking, stuff out of seizing their bank accounts and things of that nature. But this is the ugly side. I know sometimes in the world of social media, everybody wants to show you all the good stuff. I want to be 100% transparent. We had to take that lot back and this house back. So far out of our lending portfolio, that's about less than 2%. So we're doing really great, guys. Until next time, peace. Like, subscribe, and comment if you're getting any value from this particular channel. We love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much.